Hello everybody, this is Cameron Snow with GeoRiskX.com. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing at a high level where we see customers getting value out of the GeoRiskX platform, and I'm going to be talking about why each of these areas is important, and then I'm going to end by reviewing some of the tools in the platform and show you how those work. All right, so when it comes to geological risking, this is something that I see a lot of companies doing. They put a lot of time and effort into it, and then the work ends up being inconsistent, uh, both across interpreters, it ends up being inconsistent across business units, and it often ends up getting lost at the end of the day. And so when I built GeoRiskX, I wanted to address uh, this problem that I recognize across many companies. So how does GeoRiskX help with that? Well, I believe that using modern software and a modern approach to geological risking will help you build expertise and more quality into your risking process in your exploration portfolio. And there are a few areas where we try to do this. So first of all, when it comes to geological risking itself, um, now we've all seen people go through and they assign risking. A lot of times they'll have an expert or a very senior geoscientist will say, "Oh, I think there's 90% chance of success on the structure and 75% on the sill," and so on and so on. And they'll get to the risk on a prospect. Um, and then someone else does the same thing for another prospect, but they have different experiences and we end up with an apples to oranges comparison. So GeoRiskX helps in two ways. First of all, we have defined risk categories that you can set up, and you can use this to make sure that everyone is using the same risk categories. We also have built-in risking frameworks, so you can use those to help instill some rigidity in the process to make sure that you have an apples to apples comparison across all of your prospects. And when we do this, we use a best in class Monte Carlo approach. So we will run thousands of trials across each component of the hydrocarbon system according to the risk that you outline to come up with a rolled up risked profile. And we can do this not only at the zone level, we can do this at the well level as well. So if you have multiple zones, we're able to handle joint risking or common risk across each of those zones. So that's area one. We have this best in class risking with frameworks available to help you ensure consistency. The second area is in volumetrics. So obviously, as a subsurface professional, as a geoscientist, you are going to be spending a lot of time trying to understand the potential volumes that are associated with each of these prospects. Well, GeoRiskX helps with this as well. We have given you the ability to enter in each of the major parameters that affect the volumetrics. So when you think about that oil in place equation, we help you take into account porosities and saturations and your reservoir thicknesses or gross rock volumes or shape factors depending on how you're making that determination. And we help you calculate those both with respect to the uh, in place and recoverable volumes as well as the risked and unrisked volumetrics. You can really get an understanding of it there. And we've got QC processes on this, and so we've done the hard work to handle all the things like unit conversions to make sure that you get the right answer out of this. So you're not playing around with numbers in a spreadsheet worrying that there's a typo. It's in there and it's right and it's consistent. The third area of value is once you've gone through and you've done the risking and volumetrics for a number of prospects, well, now you have a portfolio. And our portfolio tools are there to help you rapidly filter through your prospects um, and to help you understand the risk reward relationship. So you can go through and understand, how you might go through and high grade that portfolio. It'll help you understand maybe where there's some common risk across your portfolio so you can go through and make better decisions, not at the well level, but at the company level, so you can allocate capital more efficiently. So I know a lot of you are saying, hey, we already do risking and volumetrics and we have our portfolio. But then when I go through to do peer reviews a lot of times, the database that I see is literally hundreds of Excel spreadsheets. And what ends up happening is, you have 3 different interpreters, and they've all made different interpretations of the same prospect. Uh, Half the time they aren't even aware that someone else has already done this. And this leads to scenarios where your database is really just a collection of files, so it's not a database at all. It's often hard to know that you're on the most recent version that was built using the most recent data available. And it's hard to know that there's consistency. So GeoRiskX is your database. So you go through and you do this assessment, the database is there and it's in the portfolio view, and it's very easy for workers to go through and pull up all the other prospects that are available. And we've made this cloud-based. So the benefit of making it cloud-based is then it doesn't matter whether or not you're at home, in the corporate office, in a business unit, at a meeting with your partners, you can pull up your relevant prospects and look at those and talk through the risk and volumetrics and how it may compare to other parts of your portfolio. And this is incredibly powerful because then it means you can leverage all the expertise in the company and do things at that, allocate capital at the company level. And this is where the real value comes in, because you could do this all in Excel if you wanted to, but you're going to end up wasting the time of your interpreters. You're going to end up with redundancy. You're going to waste time looking at things. So we're able to save you a lot of money that way, and we're able to add value by helping you allocate capital at the company level. So that is how we try to create value for you at GeoRiskX. So let's take a look at the software just at a high level so you can see what it looks like. So when I click on the risking link here, it brings up a list of all my prospects. And I'm going to look at one of my prospects in Egypt. So I'm going to click on Horace. And when I click on this, it brings up the prospect name. We have a prospect description the interpreters put in. We see who the interpreter is, the license, the basin, the block, the country, the status of this prospect. Best practice is you load up some of the images in here, and then we can go through and we can start evaluating our risk. We can evaluate risk at 2 levels. We can evaluate risk at the well level, so these would be risks that are common to all of our zones. So in this case, our structure and our sill, we believe, are common to both of the zones in this well. And we can also then look at the risk at the zone level as well. So we can come over here and look at what's the likelihood of reservoir presence, deliverability, source rock presence and maturity, and migration from the source kitchen. And once we've done that, we now have the risk at that zone level. We can then go through and evaluate our volumes. Here we have the choice, do we want to evaluate the primary fluid as oil or gas? Do we want to look at it with respect to area, thickness, and shape factor, or do we want to look at a gross rock volume? We can then choose the type of distribution we'd like and enter in the values for the P10 and P90. We'll tell it the units that we're working in. Is it imperial or metric? Are we working in feet or meters? And then it'll generate a QC table showing us everything from the P99 up through the P1. It'll also tell us our mean and our standard deviation. And then it'll give us a summary of both our in place and recoverable oil and gas, as well as the risked volumetrics for this as well. Now, once we've done this for a number of wells, then we can come into our portfolio view and we can say, all right, let's take a look at, what we have here. What country do we want to work in? Okay, well, this is the only prospect in Egypt. What do we have in some of the other parts of our portfolio? So you can come in and mix and match these, choose which fluid you want to look at, and you can see everything updates in real time. We can sort by operator, by drill status, by risk, and we can come in and get an understanding, for example, of, hey, what's our unrisked recoverable oil here from a number of these prospects? What does our cumulative probability look like? And we can also come in here and look at a printout of any of our prospects. So let's come here and let's look at the print view of Horus. And what we see is we have our cover images here. If we have multiple images, it'll be a carousel that'll flip through. We get a summary view, the key facts about it. Then we can look at our shared risk and the risking and volumetrics for each of our zones. And this is all available to us, as part of the standard package here in GeoRiskX. So if you're an exploration company and you really want to get a better feeling for your geological risking and use that to make data-driven decisions about capital allocation, you need access to best-in-class tools. And the combination of Monte Carlo-based risking, Monte Carlo-based volumetric assessments, and portfolio tools that are available in GeoRiskX will help you take your game to the next level. If you'd like to learn more, reach out to me at cam@georiskx.com. Thank you very much.